That's really bright.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to Escape 2024. Have you had fun today? Yeah, what an amazing event. Showcasing what I can only describe as some of the best talks the organizers could have bundled to amaze us all today. Yeah, well done to them all. My name is Tony van der Linden and I'm honored to host the finale for today, a panel discussion begging insights of most of the brightest people this industry has to offer. But before they do, allow me to introduce them all to you, starting with your far right, one of Dale's little duckies. I'm kidding. Professor Heinrich Smuts, who has been an associate professor in the Department of Informatics at the University of Pretoria since 2017. She's currently the head of Department of Informatics and the chair of the School of Information Technology. During a more than 30 years tenure in the industry, her focus has been on delivering consistent customer relevance across all digital touchpoints by empowering customers through convenient and effective self-service and driving growth through personalized digital offerings and adjacent ecosystems. She's held many executive and general management positions over the years, and her teaching and the research focuses on IT and its impact on organizations with particular emphasis on Society 5.0, digital transformation, big data management, artificial intelligence, and knowledge management. Professor Smuts has also published several papers and book chapters in her field of study. Welcome to you.
Thank you, Tony.
Next, we have Mr. Russell Davidson. With over 30 years of experience in the software development industry, Russell has a proven track record of delivering complex digital solutions across distributed teams and multi-stack technologies. Now, in addition to his strategic responsibility as BBD CTO, Russell actively serves as an account executive, project lead, architect, system analyst, project firefighter, and of course, a mentor. Russell plays a pivotal role in shaping BB's technological direction, advising on how and which languages to use, frameworks, as well as architectures to adopt. He ensures that the company remains equipped with the necessary training and expertise to meet the client's need both now and into the future. Welcome to you. We also welcome Mr. Sebastian Stormack, who traveled all the way from France to join us today. Mr. Stormack is a principal developer advocate at Amazon Web Services. He's been writing code since he first touched the Commodore 64 in the mid-80s. Maybe you can tell Lucky what it is. He inspires builders to unlock the value of the AWS cloud using his secret blend of passion, enthusiasm, customer advocacy, curiosity, and creativity. He's interested in software architectures, developer tools, and mobile computing. But before joining the AWS Evangelist team, Mr. Stormack built and led the AWS technical training team in EMEA and the Alexa solution architecture team in the UK, France, Italy, and Spain. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Last but definitely not least, please welcome Ms. Charity Sarapong, who is a senior business analyst at BBD. She has a BTech degree in chemical engineering, an IT diploma, as well as a variety of IT-related certificates that have helped her to get to where she is today. With over 20 years of experience and having worked across an array of sectors, including government, banking, telecoms, and education, she's very passionate about business analysis and enjoys seeing a concept from inception to final outcome, particularly when her projects add value and makes differences in lives. She's dedicated to providing bespoke solutions to her clients and their diverse needs, and approaches projects with the mindset that it is no one-size-fits-all method. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Now, our topic for today covers something that everyone in our industry is actively thinking about it. In fact, it is such a burning topic that even the opening keynote featured this as a primary theme. Now, for some individuals, it manifests as fear, concern, or even anxiety. For others, exhilaration and excitement. And for that reason, I think it is apt that we take a moment to consider the changing role of the conventional software professional. Now, we are long past the question on if the role of the conventional software professional is changing, but rather how it is changing. So Professor Smuts, I'd like to start with you. With your experience as both a software professional as well as an educator, this means that you have actively experienced this evolution. Now, how do you see the role of software professionals evolving in the context of academic study? And what change do you believe are necessary to better prepare students for the rapidly changing landscape of the software industry?
Yeah, thank you, Tony. I was thinking back at, when I started in software development, and obviously you've heard the number of years that was mainframes, right? So then someone said, oh, we needed to use a PC, and there was all these people, they were talking about all these new things that was happening with Wi-Fi, internet, etc. And everyone got very anxious. And it's almost as if these cycles and mega trends constantly sort of challenge us in terms of, the software professional domain. So from a university perspective, we can never keep up with all of these trends and teach students at a detailed level. So the focus now is on foundational concepts from an academic perspective. So focus on foundational concepts and leave it to the students to, when they enter the workplace, do the application in terms of very specific technologies. Secondly, we can expose students to some of the trends, data gravity or data anti-gravity, depending on your perspective. The different applications or frameworks, if you like, throughout the system development lifecycle, for example. So again, some exposure, but application in industry. So from an academic perspective, I think it's absolutely key that we work with industry to make sure that the students that we produce from the university can actually onboard very quickly in industry. I mean, you don't want to take 2 years to train someone. They must be able to become productive very quickly. And secondly, in this collaboration with industry, we have to make sure that we stay relevant. And that is what I think is wonderful with the collaboration with BBT, in that we constantly align with what is happening in the real world. And by doing our capstone projects that is guided by industry, we expose our students to that real world. And I think as long as we maintain that collaboration, the combination of foundational concepts and what is required of a university degree, and the practical application within industry can actually work.
Yeah, I understand. And I guess the more the industry evolves, the more we need additional tools in our toolbox, not just out for your students as well. For instance, over the last decade or so, the cloud and the alphabet soup of associated services has become quite integral to software development. And with this in mind, Mrs. Stormack, how do you see the role of the conventional software professional changing in your mind, or in your opinion? What skills are becoming more and more critical?
Thank you for having me here. As you mentioned in the introduction, I'm writing code since almost 40 years, and I'm working professionally since almost 30 years. So during that 3 decades, I had the chance to see the evolution of technology, trends, hype coming and leaving. Blockchain was mentioned this morning, and many other. My first observation is that the fundamentals are never changing. I mean, a CPU is still a CPU, memory is still CPU, disk I/O, networking, algorithms and data. The foundations are not changing. So my first advice to students is typically don't over-specialize too directly. Just learn the fundamentals, because the fundamentals are there to stay in the next 10, 20, maybe 30 years. But roughly every 10 years, I observe like a change or something new that we need to add into our bag of tools and competencies to have. Like 30 years ago, it was the internet. Most of you, I guess, are born after the internet. So for you, it's a fact. For us, we had to learn how to use this tool. It was not programming a mainframe anymore or a single PC. Suddenly, IT became distributed, and it was quite relatively easy to use standard protocols and methods to access a remote service on a remote machine. The second one, 10 years later, it's roughly every 10 years, it was the cloud. And of course, I have the AWS logo on my shirt, so I might be biased here, but I remember as a junior consultant asking for an additional machine for a project in a bank. It took like 1 month to get access. to a VMware machine so that we can run additional tests. And I remember the first time I saw the AWS console, and I said AWS, but it might be Azure or Google here. I felt like a kid in a candy store. We have all these services available. We can just click and get virtual machines or storage or database. Compute is a commodity. You know, if you start to work with the cloud, you don't realize how it was, or you didn't realize how it was before. And that really changed the way we can experiment with new ideas. We can create an infrastructure, test an ID, and then tear down the infrastructure if it is not working, just for a fraction of the cost of what it used to be before. And the last one, and to answer more precise to your question, right now it's 21st century, 2024, it's generative AI. Generative AI appears like on our radar 2 years ago for the general public. And I think it really changed the way developers are working now. I don't fear to be replaced by a Gen AI, because first, as a developer, our job is not only to write code, we do many other tasks as well. And second, as a developer, when we write code according to specification given by someone else. And as long as there is no formal language to express specification, we still need to understand what the business user means and translate that to code. That's something that Gen AI cannot do right now. But Gen AI is like an expert to help me. I'm writing code in different programming language, Swift, Python, TypeScript. I'm not an expert in any of these. But having a plugin in my IDE, it might be a Copilot, it might be Amazon Q, I feel like I have an expert sitting next to me that can help me to write code. And if I manage to write the correct question, I will be 100 times more productive than my neighbors, competitor, colleagues as well. So learning to use this tool, how to use effectively Gen AI, how to write a prompt, how to get exactly what you want from that model or that model is probably the new competency that developer needs to acquire now in 2024.
Yeah, sure. But what I've seen is that the software professional is more often required to work outside the conventional bounds, working in other responsibilities. So, Professor Swans, back to you. Given this shift towards an interdisciplinary role, how is academia addressing the need for software professionals to acquire knowledge that are typically beyond traditional computer science?
It makes the university, I think, quite anxious, Tony, because the issue is, from a application perspective, we focus on critical thinking skills and ethics because of the ethical use of these technologies, right? So especially during assessment. I mean, it's traditional assessment at the university, so you write an exam or a test, and the expectation is that you would actually do your own work, and not your work would not be augmented by any of these tools. So from a perspective to expose the students to these technologies is to use it in assignments, but to focus on the prompting and to understand the difference between the application and the output that you get, critical thinking about the output that you get versus just, taking it. I was telling Russell earlier, I marked a master's student paper. And sometimes ChatGPT would say, certainly, let me rephrase this for you, or let me do this. And that was actually pasted into the document. So clearly, the student did not even read the work after using the generative AI, right? So I think the difference between exposing them through assignments and using these technologies, we've got the makerspace, we've got virtual reality, augmented reality, all the different labs. And then for assessment and examination, a little more stricter in terms of its application. And then strong focus on critical thinking and ethics.
Yeah. But I guess all of these are sort of forced by what is happening in the industry today. Yeah. So, Mr. Davison, from your perspective as a CTO, what are the key trends shaping the role of a software professional in custom software development?
Yeah, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Software devs are typically come in two different types. The ones that like to write features that are beneficial to the client and don't really care too much about the underlying infrastructure. and there's the other ones who want to deep dive into the tech and understand it, make it tick, make it hum. So the majority of the devs who are developing features are not too phased by new technologies that come along, because they've got the specialists who understand the hardware and the OS, the networking, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem, and they take away the toil of understanding that infrastructure. And then in Lucky's talk earlier, he said he's head of ATC. They do R&D so that we can understand what techs are coming down the line. And techs, there's always new techs. Some will come mainstream, most won't.
Yeah.
So we have a sort of proactive approach to determine which techs we think are going to become mainstream, and a reactive approach, because it's like Lucky's collective thought about which techs actually do become mainstream. And then it's organic as well, because techs just love new tech. They're always tinkering, they're always playing, and before I know it, there's some new tech in production somewhere that's causing us pain and sleepless nights.
I'd like to pass it to Mrs. Stormack. As a developer advocate, how do you advocate bridging the gap between technical innovation and the skills that are required by software professionals to leverage these innovations effectively?
One of my roles is to inspire developers, to give them a little spark, saying, oh yes, there is that technology, I'm going to try that, I'm going to experiment and to see what type of gains I can get. It might be gains in productivity, in stability, in security, depending on the technology. I think the key here is curiosity, to stay current, to understand what's coming next, as you say. Try to proactively identify the next big thing that will be a require knowledge to do our roles without specializing too fast. I'm happy I didn't specialize in blockchain, for example. These type of technology come and go. There is nothing wrong about specializing, and you can get a lot of money. You can make a lot of money by being the correct specialist at the right time frame, but it doesn't last very long. Typically, these cycles are 5 to 10 years. So, yeah, be curious. Try to stay up to what's next. Experiment. Without over-investing in all the possible technology, as Lucky was mentioning during the keynote this morning, you cannot know everything. You have to make a choice as well based on your time and other objectives than professional objectives, your family life and personal time for yourself as well.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's not only for software developers. So my question to you, Mr. Serapong, how do you see the role of software professionals evolving in terms of integrating business needs with technical solutions? So is there a growing need for developers to have business analysis skills and vice versa?
Looking at where I started, right, as a business analyst 20 years ago, you would be the one shop stop. You would write your own document, and I was a developer. You do your own development testing and production support. But then, as time went on, we started seeing a business analyst role as a role of, somebody that will be able to take care of that. And now we're looking at how we are talking to business. And, we are guiding business. We're not just there and saying to them, okay, we will give you whatever solution we want. We need to sit down with business, understand what business wants, and understand what the objective is, because sometimes you are called in to say, we want this solution, but once you sit down with business and understand what is it that they want, you actually realize what they said they wanted is not exactly what, we should be providing them. So I think as, whether technical or, on the analysis side, we both need each other. And I think it's a good thing that both the analysts and the developers can have, the skills and vice versa. But there's always going to be one thing that you are focusing on. And I love being a business analyst, and I think I will stick to that.
Yeah, it's all about learning, hey.
Yeah,
and
Tony,
as mentioned, unlike other engineering disciplines like chemical engineering, one does not stop learning when you qualify, right? Mr. Davidson, how do you manage to evolve the evolving skills requirements within your organization? What strategies do you guys employ to ensure that your software professionals continually upskill?
Again, obviously I utilize Lucky's team a lot. When we start seeing text becoming mainstream, and the problem is upskilling enough people quickly enough so that the knowledge becomes ubiquitous across the company. And then I'd instruct ATC. We need boot camps on this or that, the other tech. Kubernetes platform engineering is the current one at the moment. It's becoming in demand so fast that we actually can't supply the demand.
Okay, that's great. But how do you then approach the challenge of balancing the need to innovate with the demand of maintaining and upgrading legacy systems?
There's always going to be legacy. I mean, once you put something into production, it is now legacy. It's going to have to be maintained for X amount of time. And there's different types of developers out there, and not everybody gets their kicks on the bleeding edge, having to sleep or spend nights without any sleep because they've put that thing into production that is causing us pain. There's a lot of devs who are quite happy doing maintenance on what is now considered legacy. But also legacy will actually go out of production, and we do have to make sure that we sort of reskill and repurpose those people into new technologies over time.
I think it's sometimes we forget that while we are desperately trying to keep up with technological advancements, our clients are also experiencing the impact of technology with all the tech that's being thrown at them. And suddenly we have to deal with their technological expectations that are created by all the cool tech that they're consuming. So, Mr. Serapong, as a professional who closely collaborates with clients, how have their expectations of software professionals changed over the years, especially in terms of agility and responsiveness?
I think one of the things that I think pushed me in some direction in recently, one of the clients that we're working on, when somebody comes in and says, how can we do this in AI? You're like, oh, okay, fine. AI is the thing now. Everybody else is throwing it around. And I think for us as business analysts, we need to understand what is it that the client is looking for in that AI thing. Because I mean, it's not like it's going to solve everything. So, and what I did, because I think I'm a bit delayed in that, I was not well researched on that. But then you go back to your team and it's like, okay, fine. There is a client that's talking about the project, and they're talking about AI. So how do we, solve that, and how do we help the client in that? So the fact that the client are hearing about stuff outside, and then they thinking, okay, fine, I want the latest thing. We also need to be able to manage that with them, and so which is one of the things as an analyst you need to always keep up and understand what is happening outside.
Yeah, I'd like to focus on that. And before we run out of time, I'd like to spend a couple of minutes just looking into the future of software development. So given each one of your areas of focus, how do you foresee the rise of automation and AI impacting the daily responsibilities of software professionals? Will these technologies reduce the need for traditional skills, or will they transform them? Let's start with Professor Smuts.
Thank you, Tony. Absolutely, I'm not one of these people that believe that robots will take over my world, right? I really think, though, that these technologies augment our work. It helps me to do things faster and better. And if we can figure out that optimal way of working together, then that will add great value in terms of our deliverable. I do think, though, that there is some skills that the software professional needs to be aware of. Things like behavioral change management, for example, and things like green IT. The fact that I mean, the faster we work, the more data we need to store, the more heat we generate, the more we need to decarbonize digitally, right? So I think there's additional things around this augmented way of work in the cyber-physical space that software professionals need to be aware of, because that will impact the way that we work into the future.
Okay. Mr. Davidson, your perspective as a CTO, please.
Yeah, as devs, Yeah, there's always repetitive, mundane work that we have to do. And we've always created code generators to take away that mundaneness. And tools like Copilot, utilizing generative AI, is yet just another generator and another tool for us to make ourselves more productive. The difficulty with the generative AI, as everybody knows, it has a tendency to hallucinate. So you do have to pay a lot of attention to the code that it generates and just not just use it without checking it for validity.
Mr. Stormek, as a developer by soul, what is your view?
As I mentioned, I think that GenAI is there to stay, and it's part of the tool bag that we are going to use as a developer. It will not replace developer, it will help us to make us more productive. And then you might intuitively say, yes, but if we are more productive, the industry as a whole will require less developer because we are productive. And if you look back at the past, it's exactly the opposite that happens. There is an economist that modelized this. It's known as the Jevon law, or the law of elastic demand. It's when a scarce resource, an expensive resource, is becoming more productive, the demands increase for that resource. Look at the example of coal and steam machine. The steam machine are more productive, or used to be more productive. It increased the demand of coal because the cost of production with a steam machine reduced, so we need more coal. Same happened with cars and fuel. The cars are consuming less fuel now than 20 years ago, but the general fuel demand is increasing, unfortunately. And I think it's the same with developers. If developers are more productive, it means the cost to produce a software will reduce. That will allow businesses, companies to create more software and increase the demand for developer. So don't be scared of GenAI, embrace GenAI. I think it will be a way to improve our productivity in the software industry.
Yeah.
Great. Ms. Serapong, can you tell us what the business analysis field is thinking about?
Tony, as business analysts, we're not just writing a document and setting it pretty. We also sit with a client. We manage the expectations with the client. There's a human touch, and that not anytime soon where this AI thing is going to replace it. We're dealing with, I don't know, human issues with the clients, and we need to understand what is it that they want. We need to provide them support, and that is not going anywhere anytime soon. Yes, writing a document, we can use ChatGPT, I guess, but it's the human touch that is not moving anytime soon. So yeah.
So what you're saying, I'll still have a job next year.
I'm sure you do.
Finally, I'd like to ask each one of you to share your final thoughts on the changing role of the conventional software professional. Let's start with you.
Thank you, Tony. I just think if you look about the philosophy, or look at the philosophy of Society 5.0, or the things that we've mentioned earlier, it is about using the cyber physical space and these capabilities and technologies that's available for us to deliver value. It's ultimately about business value. I mean, you also mentioned that it's about what that business wants out of it. So I think there's a wonderful future for software professionals. I think COVID emphasized a lot, the requirement. So I think there's a lot of competition, but I think it's a bright and wonderful future in terms of this profession. Lots of opportunities to learn and to grow, but that makes it wonderful, and a wonderful environment to work in.
Cool. Mr. Davidson.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people who thinks ChatGPT 127 is going to become Skynet, but it's part of an evolving tool set that allows us to become more effective, more productive, to add more value to our clients in a more rapid pace.
Mrs. Stormek?
Yeah, I'll try to not repeat myself, but be curious and maybe be more inclusive as well. I mean, this tool will allow non-developer type of profile to also produce application. think about all the no-code type of tools that are coming. And we see more and more people coming from different fields, from business, also writing their own application to help them to be more productive in their task. And I think we as an industry should welcome and be inclusive to this new type of profile that will also produce code and also produce applications.
Cool. Mr. Rapong.
And yeah, as a business analyst, again, you need to keep up. You need to research. You need to, because now you'll be talking to the client and you need to be able to advise them. And you need to take that back to your team of developers and be able to argue it with them. Because if you don't know anything, they're going to tell you it's going to take me 6 months.
Yeah.
So you need to know that no, it's actually 3 weeks.
So all that we have got, I see we are out of time and I can't see the organizers. Do we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions from the audience? 1 or 2 questions. Can we maybe have the house starts on, please? Or not? Here we go. All right, this is a question.
Thanks. This is really good. I have a question for Dr. Smuts. The capstone projects that
Yes.
you use to prepare people for industry, can you describe those a little bit?
Yes, yes, certainly. So normally this time of the year, we invite our industry partners to submit scoped projects. It's real world projects. So let me think of an example. It is an ordering system for a flower shop, right? To write an ordering system. So that is then scoped as a requirement with the industry partner. A team of 5 final year students are allocated to that industry partner. They have to engage with the industry partner, so collect requirements. So there is an analysis component to it, and they actually develop a working solution. As you know, when the university develops software like that, the IP is owned by the university. But in this instance, the industry partner is allowed to actually take the code and they can integrate it now into their business. So through the 9-month or 10-month period, those 5 students work at a detailed level. They have to project manage it. We work semi-agile method, right? So there's deliverables, there's sprints, etc. And that is actually their final examination as well. So apart from delivering and engaging with the industry, that is their final examination for their degree.
Thank you. Next question. At the back there, Lucky.
Oh, is it? Okay. How do you make sure it's not too complicated, or do you work with the partner to scope it
Yeah,
to
we
the right
do.
size?
Yes. So there is a guideline around the scope and the complexity requirements, because you know, they have to do formal deliverables. Like probably you have all forgotten about an ERD and things like that, but this is part of the formal deliverables that they have to develop. So minimum 20 tables. So there is a scope that would actually make sure that the complexity is at the right level and not too complex. Thank you.
My question relates more to the legal implications of using generated code. Generated anything recently has come up a lot as non-copyrightable and such in a lot of legal frameworks around the world. How do we deal with using generated code in the code that we supply to our clients?
I guess that's for me.
Whoever can answer.
Yeah, so we, a year or so ago, I asked Lucky and his team to evaluate Copilot and how we utilize it within the company. And one of the problems is the code that people are writing, sometimes it can be submitted into the cloud so that they can use that to train their models. And we can't do that because that code is our client's IP. So we have to make certain that functionality is switched off. I was going somewhere else, and I've forgotten. But it's gone.
All right. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I do welcome each and every one of you to come and interact and share your opinions with our panel at a networking session a little later. So maybe a final thought from me. The tone in which we approach change determines our experience when finally encountering it. We may find that This self-inflicted fear of is hindering our growth. And even though we may awkwardly believe that the unconventional is threatening our conventional, given a bit of positivity and the effort exerted to get to where we are right now, imagine how much it will be worth when we finally get there. With that, I'd like to thank our panel. My name is Tony van der Linden, and I hope you enjoyed Escape 2024. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our incredible panel. I might have strong-armed a few of them. I'm glad that they're still standing. I won't mention any names. Russell. Thank you so much. Whew, what a day. What an incredible day. We'll use a different logo up. There's a logo. Escape is many things. And the words are escaping me as well, Russell, so it's okay. But did you enjoy Escape? I say this every single year, and I said it again this morning. This year's Escape is bigger and better than any other Escape we have ever delivered. And we have, Dale, you've broken it. One of the things that we have around Escape is something we call a game jam. I might be a bit biased, but I like game designers. They're strange people.
True.
They write code in very strange ways, beautifully
True.
strange ways. And part of our training program is we insist that all of our graduates have to participate in this game jam. It just challenges you in a very different way. And this year we decided to open up the Escape Game Jam as well to the public as well. And this game jam happens over a couple of weeks. I'm saying couple because I can't remember the number. 2 weeks, there we go. You can see that we have some participants. And today they would have had a stand right in the corner away from all of your food where you could play their games and vote for them. And so today we're going to announce some of the speakers before we close off. And the speakers win awesome trophies.
You mean the game jam?
Oh, game jam. Hey, speakers, shame, sorry.
But it's the thought that counts. Thank you, guys.
They win awesome, awesome, awesome trophies and some awesome prizes. We will contact you, don't call us, to arrange for the delivery of your awesome, awesome prizes. I'll make this quick because I know that I'm standing in the way of you and your beer. In third place, we have.
Drum roll.
Okay, it's quite slow. It'll show up eventually. I see that our internet is getting tired. But in third place, that's winning a gaming keyboard. I'm not even sure what brand this is. I can't see on my screen. But it's an awesome, awesome, awesome gaming keyboard. Those who have won before will attest to this. There we go. Third place.
Project Nebula.
Project Nebula. Let's give them a round of applause. In second place, when it finally shows up, winning a 27-inch gaming monitor. Ooh, right? Hey, I told you. Rapid Descent. Before I announce the winner, I think it's important to note this process. These incredible game developers are given a theme on a Friday evening after a long week of work. The theme will be something obscure like water or flow or like heartbeat, just a phrase. And they need to build a game that actually speaks to that. From that, we have a panel of expert judges, professional game developers who judge it as well as the public. From all of those submissions, we have the final 5 who scored very, very high. And that 5 get to exhibit at Escape. And from your votes, we determine these winners. And on that note,
Drum roll.
today's winner, that's not the prize. Ooh, okay.
Too soon, too quick. Too quick.
The prize is wrong, but this year's prize is even more awesome. Because I can't remember the name. The prize is even more awesome. Is Clarice in the room?
He is way up there.
What's the first prize? The Oculus Quest 2 is the first prize. Did you hear that collective? Oh. And the winners of this Oculus Quest are Trash Splash.
Well done, guys.
We have some awesome trophies. We will come to the gaming section after this session to hand them to you and talk about how you collect your prizes. Before we close off, we have a couple of people to thank. Escape has gotten complex from a technical perspective compared to when we started it. Last night, or was it yesterday, Robert mentioned that when he was an ATC, he wasn't allowed to speak here. And now that he's no longer here, he's a speaker now. And we were talking about how vastly different Escape has gotten. The technical requirements of this conference have gotten really, really complex. And we wouldn't be able to achieve what we do, having a single conference running across as many as 7 live locations in multiple cities across the world. We wouldn't be able to do this without the development team that's largely made up of our BBD grads who built the streaming platform that you saw today, who built the ticketing systems and everything else that you interacted with. So let's please give a big round of applause to our development team. The next part of our technical team is our IT team. I'm always asked, but you're a technologist, why do you have an IT team? It's because networking is difficult. And today they've had to come in yesterday, plug into a single LAN port, and from that, make sure that we have high-speed internet, allowing us to stream in real time across all of these venues. So a big shout out to BBD's IT team for all of the infrastructure work they've put together for us. While between ourselves, we look after the networking and the streaming portions, we wouldn't be able to do it without our AV Tech crew, who make sure we have these brilliant lights and the lightning and the rumble. So big thank you to the AV Tech venue team. This year in particular stood out the most. I got so many compliments about how beautiful our new logo looks, and we've been trying to rebrand for years. We've gotten compliments about how beautiful our website is and all the visual elements that you saw today, including that incredible venue or that incredible video you saw. None of this would be possible without our incredible marketing team. A big shout out to the marketing team. None of that matters without food
and beer.
And making sure that we can secure this venue and coordinate everyone. And for that, we have our admin team with a special shout out to Louise and Sonia for helping us with literally every single part of this conference and making it happen. Before I close off, I have some numbers and a broken slide. I can see the next one.
It's coming. It's coming.
There
There it is.
We have some numbers. The room you're sitting in here in Johannesburg can take up to 500 people. Our dashboard had a small problem, and we ended up issuing almost 700 tickets. And I think this is testimony to just how big this conference is getting and how it's becoming beyond just a BBD thing and becoming really about community coming together. We sold 1,054 tickets, which is a record for us. This is across BBD as well as the general public. Yes, we can clap. Of those, 704 people were from BBD, which means that we have a significant number of non-BBD people joining us in person as well as online. Our platform saw 883 logins today, which means that people online and people here voting, rating the speakers and providing feedback. Please, please, please go and give all of the speakers that you watched feedback. It is very valuable for speakers. It tells them where they can improve and how they can make their talks better. It's also nice when someone says, this is the best talk I've ever seen. So please go give them that positive feedback.
And say exactly that. This is the best talk, please.
And lastly, the last of our thank yous, we would like to thank you. That's supposed to say you, but
These slides were created 2 weeks ago, I promise.
thank you to every single one of you. Without you, we wouldn't even have this conference. You have continuously made this bigger and better every single year. To close off,
I think before we close and in closing of the conference, we're going to have a little recap on screen of how the day went, thanks to our marketing team, of course. And after that, please network with everyone, chat to the speakers, chat to our panel, even the ones from all the way from France. We really do appreciate it. But from me
and the whole of ATC, thank you and goodbye.
Welcome.